Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO Top 10 MOCs of the Week episode. This is basically where I show some of the coolest things I've seen people building out of LEGO this week. And remember to stick around for the end of the episode where you guys, the fans, submit your own LEGO creations to show off. And if you want to submit your own pictures of your LEGO builds, check out the link in the description below for the proper email to send them to. All right, let's not waste any time. This is the very first one of the week. It's called LEGO Peanuts by Genecyst. This goes hopefully without explanation, but we've got Charlie Brown, Snoopy, there's little Woodstock on the doghouse, and of course Lucy. I like this sort of simple build style. There's no eyes included or mouths, but the characters are just so darn recognizable with the shapes of the heads. I especially like the outline for Snoopy, and even Woodstock is recognizable if he was to be displayed by himself. It's a very fun little build. You can see that there's a lot of ball joints that connect the characters so they can be posed in probably a bunch of different ways. And the only thing that I see missing from this build right now is a football. Now moving on to the number 9 build, this is R-RAV Research Rover by Damiano. This is a fun sort of bulky APC-like research rover. It's definitely got throwbacks to classic space, especially with the color combination. And in general, it's just a very intricate build. There's a lot of wonderful details that can be found on the inside. But something that really drove me to liking this is the composition that our builder has done with the photos here. It's part of the Nova Team Oasis, and now you can really see an entirely new level of imagination and creativity and really the world that this build was meant for. Oh yeah, if I haven't mentioned it already, please check out the links in the description below for the original builders. Often if you like one of the builds that I'm showing off, you're gonna find a bunch of other really cool things in the links. So check out Genecyst, check out Damiano, and Anton Sundstrom. He made a build called Mario. It actually has an exclamation mark at the end of that, so you can't just say Mario, it's Mario. This is based on the Paper Mario design, but it really does pay homage to a lot of the classic looks that we see this character in. And there's something that really just struck a chord with people because I have seen this on a lot of other fan sites as well. And I think what's so nice about this build is that it is very simple, but also extremely animated. In theory, this thing doesn't look like it's very difficult to put together, but as you watch these pictures go by, you can see that Mario can be put in just about any situation that you could possibly find him in any of the video games. Maybe even some situations that he's not supposed to be in. All right, now let's move down to number 6. This is basically just a reinterpretation of what we just got from a very recent Marvel superhero set. It's simply labeled Vulture, and it is by the builder Grandmasters. The reimagined mechanical wings of the Vulture from the latest Spider-Man Homecoming movie really do look very, very good. They're very accurate, and there's just a wonderful sort of bony mechanical style about it. I really appreciate that the mechanical build for this villain also is primarily made of a lot of weapon pieces. I can count several different types of guns involved, as well as different daggers and swords. I doubt this thing is very much about play. It's more of a display piece, but it is awesome. Moving on down to number 6, this is a Chinese style dragon by Ming. I've been getting really excited about dragon builds recently. Maybe that's because of the new Ninjago set coming out, but here's a wonderful traditional dragon build that does not rely on any special molded pieces to make up the face, but instead just a wonderful build style that has created a very animated expression. And holy wow, I think the price of yellow cheese wedge pieces has probably gone up on Bricklink just from this build. The scale detailing really does look excellent, and this is one of the better uses of that awesome Chima piece that I've got lying around in the studio and I just haven't found a use for yet. Now let's check out the next build. Number 5 is Yamaha Hidenka by Fabs. I'm definitely a sucker for motorcycles. I've always liked the way people reinterpret them in LEGO. Often they're much cooler than modern day concept bikes, and this is definitely a shining example. I have sort of reminiscent feelings from Tron, but the design also has a distinct hardtail type of feel. There really isn't any real comparison to this bike though. It is a design in and of itself. The highlighted colors are very striking, but also the builder has shown some restraint and not let the flashy colors kind of take over the look of the build. Easily one of my favorite LEGO bikes of the year. Check out Fabs on Flickr if you want to be really impressed by some awesome builds. And now moving on to number 4, this is I think the second week in a row we've gotten Moko up on the top 10 MOCs. This is called MFS012 Drillmaster, and if you like gigantic mechs, then Moko is your builder. The name Drillmaster is probably pretty darn self-evident. He's made with a whopping 6 of those cone spiral Rock Raider drills, and I think they went to pretty good use. This particular robot has the functions of some extra support folding down in the back of the legs, MOCs, so this guy can really plant himself in place, and then a couple of those drills on the arms actually switch out towards the front if he needs to attack. As you can tell from this picture, some of the times guys just get split open, and like so many of the mech MOCs that I've seen from this build before, this one is definitely knocking it out of the park. Let's move on down to the next build, and now we are getting into the top 3. This is a build from Lego Admiral, and this is Chewbacca's Bowcaster. This is yet another build of life-size weapons. I know this isn't a very popular theme, or basically against the rules within actual Lego terms, but there's no denying how cool this weapon is, or how well built it is here in Lego form. From this picture here, you can see it has been scaled very nicely, and I'm sure if somebody dressed up as a Wookiee and carried this thing around, it probably wouldn't turn too many heads. People might not even notice that it is indeed made out of Lego. My personal favorite aspect of the build is how we get that nice arch in the front of the bow. That's done just by building with 1x2s, and eventually if you twist them just a little bit on a long enough scale, you can actually get a pretty decent arch, and that's what this guy did. If you want to see more Lego life-size Star Wars weapons, you can check out his Flickr page, and he's also got some great Star Wars dioramas, including a Hoth. There's also some homeworld stuff and quite a lot of military builds as well. Now this episode is a little bit different from some of the other ones because the top 2 builds only exist as YouTube videos, so I might show you a little bit of the action, but mostly just stills because I encourage you guys to check out all of the builders I'm showing you. So anyways, the very first one, I cannot pronounce this guy's name, so sorry, but this is the Rotary machine gun. Well, that's the official name for the build, but I normally refer to this as a minigun, and though admittedly this build doesn't look incredibly detailed on the outside, in fact it's relatively just a Technic frame that encases the motor, and it's very much kind of like a bare bones build, but it includes one incredibly awesome function. Of course this thing spins around, that kind of goes without saying because it is a rotary machine gun, but it also has a wonderful function of pulling the treads through. These are just kind of some simple common tread pieces that you get from a lot of different sets, and that actually acts as the ammo belt, and as it runs through, it gets split into a bunch of pieces, very much like how the ammo would if this thing was shooting in real life. It's just a really fun function, and it's extremely unique. I haven't seen anything like this before, and if you like this build, you might like his Technic chainsaw. That one looks a lot cooler in my opinion. But anyways, I always see some very interesting builds coming from this guy, and let's move on to the very last one. This is the number 1 build of the week, and that is the build Prismatis by Julius von Brunk. Now, I wasn't even a very big Game Boy fan back in the day, so this isn't really buying me over with nostalgia points. Even though the build for the Game Boy is quite nice, it has a pretty awesome function inside. You can take out and remove the batteries if you want. You can also insert a Lego-made cartridge, but that's not really the main thing that draws me here. It's the fact that the Prismatis is a transformer. The transforming function is awesome. The thing looks great in its final form, and as an added bonus, the cartridge also transforms too. Maybe a little mini sidekick. There's some great stop motion, a wonderful little video that was put together by this guy, and I highly recommend that you check it out. And all right, I think we're just rounding off towards the end of the episode, so these are going to be all of the fan MOCs coming at you. Remember, if you want to submit your own creation, check out the link in the description below for the proper email. Often if they're just sent to Facebook, sometimes I forget to put them up, so please send them to the proper email. And anyways, here are all of the fan MOCs. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.